Chosen one, the awakening you are experiencing is rare and profound. After the first God stirred the world, something extraordinary has been activated within you. You are the remaining God. This is not about supernatural power, but about realizing the full extent of your own agency, that your thoughts, emotions, and intentions directly shape your choices, your habits, and the trajectory of your life. The shift you've triggered is the moment when potential becomes action and waiting transforms into deliberate creation. From an educational perspective, this is a lesson in mastery, mastering your mind, your emotions, and your attention. Complaints, fear, and unexamined reactions keep us trapped in patterns, while conscious reflection, emotional regulation, and purposeful decision-making open doors to growth, clarity, and abundance. Philosophically, this is the integration of self, the reconciliation of who you are with, who you are capable of becoming. The crown of the remaining God is not worn over others, but within, as alignment with values, awareness, and responsibility. To fully step into this transformation, take action. Hit the like button, subscribe to help us reach 30,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. This small step is a signal to the world and to yourself that you are ready to act intentionally, embrace your power, and move through life with conscious purpose. Those who commit to this path will find that life no longer feels like resistance, but like a meaningful flow of creation and fulfillment. Understanding our inner potential and taking responsibility for our thoughts, emotions, and actions is one of the most transformative steps a human being can take. This is not just about personal growth, it's about shaping the life you live in a conscious, deliberate way. When we recognize our power to influence our own experiences, we break free from patterns that limit us, and we open doors to opportunities that were always within reach. Every thought, every choice, every moment matters, and learning to navigate them wisely is a key to lasting fulfillment. In my view, the journey of self-awareness and purposeful living is the most meaningful adventure one can undertake. I believe that when we fully embrace responsibility over our inner world, life becomes richer, more intentional, and deeply rewarding. Growth doesn't come from avoiding challenges or blaming circumstances. It comes from engaging with them fully, understanding ourselves, and acting with clarity and integrity. Life becomes less about searching for external validation and more about expressing our true self in every action. The idea of the chosen one is often misunderstood as something mystical or supernatural. In reality, it symbolizes a human awakening. The moment when an individual recognizes that they are not a passive observer of life, but an active creator of their experiences. This awakening is not about superiority, it's about clarity. It is about realizing that our thoughts, feelings, and actions carry consequences, and that we have the ability to guide them consciously. Being chosen is not about destiny assigned by others, it's about stepping into the responsibility of awareness. Every choice, whether small or large, has ripple effects, and the chosen one metaphor reminds us that we are capable of responding to life rather than reacting unconsciously. When someone awakens in this way, they begin to see patterns that previously went unnoticed, habits that limit growth, thoughts that drain energy, and opportunities that were overlooked. This awakening also carries a sense of purpose. It is the realization that life is not random, but a canvas on which we can leave our mark through deliberate action. Like a gardener tending to a garden, the awakened individual cultivates inner qualities such as patience, wisdom, and empathy, knowing that these inner habits shape the outer reality. This is the essence of the human chosen experience, an active engagement with life fueled by awareness and intention. Activation is more than motivation or temporary excitement. It is the deep engagement of mind and emotions toward conscious growth. Psychologically, it is the moment when neural pathways begin to change through intentional thought and behavior. It is the shift from autopilot living to active mental participation, where you start noticing the choices you make and the impact they have. Activation is like flipping a switch in your internal operating system. When activated, a person begins to question old habits, recognize limiting beliefs, and explore the full capacity of their mental and emotional landscape. Neuroscience confirms that repeated conscious actions can rewire the brain, reinforcing patterns that align with higher goals and self-mastery. In this way, activation is not abstract. It is measurable, practical, and transformative. The most critical aspect of activation is responsibility. You cannot choose or act meaningfully if you do not recognize the forces shaping your thoughts and behaviors. Becoming aware is like shining a flashlight into dark corners of your mind. Suddenly, you see the patterns, triggers, and tendencies that were running your life without your permission. With awareness comes accountability. You begin to notice how fear, judgment, and impulsivity influence your choices. Awareness allows you to pause before reacting, to reflect instead of react, and to consider long-term consequences rather than short-term impulses. This is the foundation of self-mastery, as it transforms passive living into deliberate, purposeful action. Awareness also nurtures empathy. When you become conscious of your inner world, you start noticing the struggles and motivations of others. Responsibility extends beyond self. It touches relationships, communities, and the way you impact the world. Awareness becomes both a mirror and a compass, helping you navigate life with clarity and integrity. Most people drift through life unconsciously, following habits, routines, and external expectations. Deliberate living requires breaking free from autopilot patterns and making intentional choices that reflect inner values. Every decision, from the mundane to the monumental, carries weight in shaping your character and life trajectory. This shift is challenging because it requires self-honesty. You must confront habits that drain energy, beliefs that limit potential, and fears that hold you back. But the reward is immense: freedom. When you live deliberately, you reclaim your power and learn that life is not something that happens to you. It is something you actively shape. Deliberate choice also enhances resilience. When life throws unexpected challenges, the person who practices intentional living can respond with strategy and emotional stability rather than panic or avoidance. Each choice becomes an opportunity to reinforce purpose, align with values, and cultivate a life of meaning. Our thoughts are the architects of our destiny. Repeated thinking patterns, positive or negative, form habits, which in turn influence emotions and actions. Over time, these patterns create the framework of our life. The mind that constantly dwells on fear, scarcity, or failure will attract experiences that mirror those beliefs, while a mind focused on growth, gratitude, and curiosity opens doors to possibility. Cognitive psychology demonstrates that habitual thinking strengthens neural connections. If you repeatedly practice worry or self-doubt, your brain reinforces those patterns. Conversely, practicing focus, optimism, and reflective thinking rewires the brain to seek solutions and opportunities. This is why mental discipline is not optional, it is essential for shaping reality. Awareness of thought patterns allows you to intervene consciously by observing your thinking and choosing perspectives that support growth. You actively sculpt your future. Small daily shifts in thought, when compounded over months and years, lead to profound changes in life outcomes and personal satisfaction. Emotions are powerful forces that shape our decisions, relationships, and overall life experience. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing feelings. It's about understanding, managing, and channeling them constructively. For instance, anger, when unexamined, can destroy relationships and opportunities, but when understood and redirected, it can fuel motivation and assertiveness. Developing this skill allows you to respond to life's challenges with clarity rather than chaos. Research in psychology shows that people who manage their emotions effectively experience better mental health, stronger relationships, and higher achievement. Emotional intelligence, the ability to perceive, interpret, and respond appropriately to emotions, is a predictor of success, often more than IQ. This is because our inner emotional state directly affects our thought patterns, creativity, and decision-making. Practical strategies like mindfulness, reflection, and journaling can strengthen emotional regulation. For example, taking a moment to pause before responding in conflict can prevent regretful actions. Similarly, recognizing feelings of anxiety or fear as signals rather than commands helps convert tension into constructive problem-solving. Over time, this skill transforms your life by making you less reactive and more empowered. Emotional regulation also nurtures resilience. Life will inevitably present setbacks, but those who understand their emotions are better equipped to adapt and recover. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice patience, courage, and self-compassion. Finally, emotional regulation connects deeply with purpose. When your inner world is calm and coherent, your energy can flow into meaningful pursuits rather than being dissipated by impulsive reactions. Life becomes less about surviving external circumstances and more about thriving from within. Emotional mastery is, therefore, a cornerstone of deliberate, impactful living. Complaining is often a default reaction when life doesn't meet expectations, but it comes with hidden costs. Psychologically, dwelling on problems without seeking solutions reinforces a victim mindset, making obstacles feel larger than they are. The brain treats repeated complaints as patterns, strengthening neural pathways associated with negativity, helplessness, and stagnation. Complaining not only limits personal growth, but also affects those around you. Constant negative expressions create tension in relationships and environments. People naturally distance themselves from chronic complainers, which reduces support networks and opportunities. In contrast, focusing on solutions, gratitude, or constructive action enhances both personal and social environments. Every complaint is an energy drain. Imagine every time you focus on what's wrong instead of what can be done, a part of your potential slips away. By redirecting attention toward action, learning, or reframing, you convert energy into growth. For instance, someone frustrated with their job can use the feeling as a signal to learn new skills, seek mentorship, or explore new paths rather than ranting endlessly. The habit of complaining also undermines resilience. Life is filled with uncertainty and challenge, but complaining reinforces powerlessness instead of adaptability. By consciously replacing complaints with observation and problem-solving, you train the mind to see obstacles as temporary and manageable rather than permanent and overwhelming. Ultimately, reducing complaints aligns with purpose and empowerment. Life's challenges become teachers, and energy is preserved for actions that matter. Complaining is a habit that chains potential. Awareness and conscious choice free it. Turning dissatisfaction into opportunity is a hallmark of the activated life. Fear is a natural signal designed to protect, but it often becomes a barrier when misunderstood. Most people treat fear as a command to retreat, but in reality, fear is simply information. It tells us where discomfort, risk, or opportunity exists. Recognizing this distinction transforms fear from an enemy into a guide for growth. For example, the fear of public speaking can reveal areas where preparation or skill building is needed, rather than being a reason to avoid challenges. Athletes, leaders, and innovators often experience fear before high-stakes moments, but they learn to interpret it as a cue for focus and readiness. In this way, fear becomes an ally rather than a limitation. Fear also highlights unprocessed emotions and beliefs. Often, the things we fear most are reflections of past experiences, insecurities, or assumptions. By examining fear without judgment, we uncover patterns that can be changed. This conscious engagement turns fear into insight, giving us tools to act with courage and discernment. Ignoring fear entirely is as harmful as succumbing to it. True mastery lies in facing fear with awareness, acknowledging it, understanding its source, and choosing intentional action despite discomfort. Each encounter with fear strengthens resilience, courage, and confidence, creating a feedback loop of empowerment. Ultimately, fear reframed as information fosters growth and possibility. It signals areas for learning and preparation rather than retreat. By listening to fear and acting deliberately, life becomes an ongoing journey of expansion instead of limitation. Fear, when understood, becomes a compass rather than a chain. Inattention, stress, worry, frustration is often seen as a negative state, but it can be harnessed as a source of energy. Like a tightly coiled spring, tension contains potential. If released mindfully, it propels action and creativity. Many high achievers use pressure as motivation, transforming discomfort into achievement. Understanding tension requires observation. Instead of avoiding or suppressing stress, acknowledge it. Ask, what is this tension signaling? Often, it points to unmet goals, unresolved emotions, or areas needing attention. Once identified, tension can be converted into planning, problem-solving, or skill development, turning what once felt burdensome into productive momentum. Mind-body practices like meditation, breathwork, and physical activity amplify this effect. They allow the nervous system to channel energy constructively, rather than letting stress cause reactive behavior. For example, a student facing exam pressure can convert anxiety into focused study sessions, enhanced memory, and disciplined preparation. Tension also cultivates resilience and creativity. By facing challenges and discomfort rather than fleeing, individuals discover solutions they might never have considered in calm or routine conditions. Many breakthroughs in science, art, and personal development occur because someone learned to ride the wave of inner tension rather than resist it. Ultimately, Transforming tension into momentum is about conscious choice. It is an exercise in mastery, taking what seems uncomfortable and making it fuel growth. Life becomes less about avoiding pressure and more about using it to accelerate purpose, action, and fulfillment. Cognitive discipline is the ability to direct thought intentionally, avoiding distractions, unproductive patterns, and mental clutter. In a world saturated with information and stimulation, this skill is essential for creating meaningful outcomes. Without discipline, energy is scattered, creativity is stifled, and growth is limited. Discipline in thought allows clarity in action. For example, leaders who cultivate focus and analytical thinking make better decisions under pressure. Students who structure their mental effort and avoid multitasking achieve higher learning outcomes. In all areas of life, the capacity to think deliberately multiplies effectiveness and impact. Cognitive discipline also strengthens emotional regulation. When thoughts are organized, reflective, and intentional, emotions follow suit. Chaos in thinking often manifests as impulsivity or emotional instability. Conversely, disciplined cognition fosters confidence, calm, and purpose-driven action. Practical strategies include journaling, prioritizing tasks, meditation, and mental rehearsal. These techniques create neural patterns that reinforce focus, resilience, and strategic thinking. Over time, they make intentionality a habit rather than a temporary effort. Ultimately, cognitive discipline is the backbone of a high-impact life. It turns ideas into action, potential into results, and energy into influence. Without it, even the most capable individuals struggle to convert ability into meaningful achievement. With it, life becomes a deliberate expression of capability and purpose. Abundance is often thought of as wealth or possessions, but true abundance lies in recognizing capacity and opportunity. A person can have little materially, yet live a life of abundance by valuing time, skills, relationships, and experiences. This perspective shifts focus from scarcity to possibility, transforming mindset and action. When abundance is framed as capacity, it emphasizes personal growth. Skills, knowledge, and emotional intelligence are resources that compound over time. Investing in them enhances influence, effectiveness, and the ability to contribute meaningfully to life and others. Even limited material resources can create significant impact when guided by skill and creativity. Opportunity-based abundance encourages proactive engagement with life. It is the understanding that doors may be closed, but windows always exist for those willing to notice and act. This mindset fosters innovation, resilience, and courage because setbacks are seen as detours rather than dead ends. Abundance also influences relationships. People who perceive others as resources and allies rather than threats create collaborative, supportive environments. Generosity, mentorship, and knowledge sharing amplify collective abundance, creating cycles of growth and opportunity. Ultimately, abundance is a mindset. By recognizing capacity and opportunity in every situation, life transforms from limitation into potential. It is not what you have, it's how you use it and what you create with it that defines true richness. Power and influence are not inherently good or bad. They are tools whose impact depends on the intentions and ethics of the individual who wields them. Ethical use of power means aligning actions with values, understanding consequences, and acting with integrity, even when no one is watching. Misused, power can exploit, harm, and erode trust. When used ethically, it can uplift, inspire, and create meaningful change. Resources, whether knowledge, money, or connections, carry a similar responsibility. Every resource is an opportunity to act, to contribute, or to invest in growth. Mismanagement often stems from short-term thinking or selfish motives, whereas ethical stewardship considers long-term consequences and the broader good. Historical examples show that leaders who used resources with foresight and integrity left lasting legacies, while those who acted recklessly left destruction. The ethical dimension of power also applies to personal influence. Words, actions, and choices ripple through communities, affecting lives in ways that may be invisible at first. Speaking with honesty, modeling accountability, and treating others with respect are forms of ethical influence that create trust and encourage collective growth. They ask, does this action reflect my values? Does it serve a higher purpose? Does it contribute positively to those around me? Ethical reflection in these moments ensures that influence becomes constructive rather than destructive. Ultimately, power and resources are magnified by ethical intention. When aligned with purpose, they become instruments of lasting impact, enabling personal fulfillment and societal contribution. Ethics transforms ordinary potential into extraordinary influence. Time is the most valuable resource because it is finite and irreversible. Every moment spent cannot be reclaimed, making how we invest our time the ultimate reflection of priorities, values, and awareness. Those who treat time carelessly often discover that their energy, goals, and relationships are fragmented, while those who steward it wisely experience coherence, fulfillment, and accelerated growth. Time also reveals the consequences of our choices. Small daily decisions, how we spend our mornings, whom we listen to, which habits we cultivate, compound over months and years. The scientist, the artist, and the entrepreneur all understand that consistent, intentional use of time is more powerful than bursts of effort or luck. Time reveals dedication, discipline, and the depth of our commitment to growth. Prioritization is key. Time spent on distractions, fear-driven avoidance, or reactive behaviors erodes potential. By contrast, allocating time to learning, reflection, meaningful work, and nurturing relationships creates exponential returns. Even seemingly small moments, like journaling, mindful pauses, or focused study, shape the trajectory of life, more than flashy achievements or external validation. Time is also a teacher of self-awareness. Observing how we spend our days uncovers unconscious habits, hidden fears, and unexamined priorities. It forces reflection. Are we living for comfort, approval, or purpose? By tracking time consciously, we illuminate what truly matters and create space for deliberate action aligned with deeper goals. Ultimately, time is the mirror that reveals whether our inner values match our external life. Wise stewardship of this currency transforms fleeting moments into lasting meaning. Those who master their time shape their destiny with clarity, intention, and purpose. Distraction is the modern enemy of fulfillment. Endless notifications, fleeting entertainment, and superficial engagement pull attention away from what truly matters. Purpose, on the other hand, acts as a magnetic force that channels energy, focus, and intention toward meaningful outcomes. Living purposefully means understanding your core values, defining your priorities, and consistently aligning actions with them. Purpose creates resilience. Life will inevitably present obstacles, doubts, and external pressures, but a clear sense of why you act fuels perseverance. When energy is invested in alignment with purpose, challenges become opportunities to refine skills, strengthen character, and deepen understanding. Without purpose, even success can feel hollow or fleeting. Examples abound in every field. Innovators, leaders, and creators who stayed committed to purpose produced extraordinary results despite adversity. Their focus on a central mission allowed them to filter distractions, channel resources effectively, and sustain momentum over years. In contrast, those who chase external rewards without clarity of purpose often burn out, stagnate, or feel unfulfilled. Purpose also shapes identity. When actions reflect inner values, life becomes coherent and authentic. Even daily routines, tasks, and interactions gain meaning when seen as contributions to a larger vision. Living with purpose transforms ordinary existence into a journey of significance and self-expression. Ultimately, purpose over distraction is the path to a life fully lived. It allows individuals to focus on what matters, create meaningful impact, and experience fulfillment that is internal, resilient, and enduring. Purpose is the compass guiding energy, attention, and action toward coherence and mastery. Comfort is immediate, familiar, and safe. It is the warmth of routine, the avoidance of discomfort, and the tendency to seek ease over challenge. Fulfillment, however, requires engagement, growth, and the courage to face discomfort in pursuit of meaningful goals. The tension between comfort and fulfillment is where transformation occurs. Comfort often masks stagnation. People may settle for what feels safe, avoiding risks, responsibility, or introspection. Fulfillment requires stepping outside of this zone, confronting uncertainty, and embracing the lessons that discomfort offers. Growth is never found in complete ease. It emerges in moments of struggle, perseverance, and conscious choice. Fulfillment also comes from alignment with values and purpose. Many people unconsciously identify with struggle, believing that hardship defines who they are. They equate effort, pain, or stress with value, as if the weight they carry legitimizes their existence. Letting go of struggle as an identity means recognizing that who you are is not the difficulties you face, but the awareness and choices you bring to them. Clinging to struggle creates cycles of resistance and frustration. For example, someone may persist in self-sabotaging patterns, thinking, "This is just who I am." But in truth, life does not require perpetual battle. Awareness allows you to step off the treadmill of tension and act with clarity and intention. Letting go does not mean avoiding effort or responsibility. It means releasing attachment to struggle as a measure of worth. Athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists who perform at high levels do so not by glorifying struggle, but by harnessing energy constructively, focusing on purpose, and managing challenges as tools for growth. Psychologically, identifying with struggle reinforces neural patterns of stress, anxiety, and self-limitation. By recognizing struggle as temporary and functional rather than defining, individuals open space for creativity, peace, and resilience. It shifts identity from reaction to conscious choice. Ultimately, freedom emerges when struggle is no longer a badge of identity. Life becomes a practice of flow, engagement, and purposeful action. The energy once tied to proving worth through suffering can now be invested in meaningful growth and authentic living. Self-worth is often mistaken for achievement or external validation. Grades, promotions, compliments, or social recognition are commonly seen as indicators of value. But true self-worth exists independent of external outcomes. It is rooted in intrinsic dignity, the conscious acknowledgement that your existence has significance without conditions. Relying on external validation creates perpetual anxiety. A person may achieve a goal, yet feel empty, because self-worth remains conditional. Conversely, when self-worth is internalized, achievements become celebrations, not measures of value. Life transforms from a series of approvals sought to a journey of meaningful engagement. Self-worth, independent of achievement, fosters courage. People are more willing to take risks, learn from failures, and innovate when they are not driven solely by the need for validation. Historical innovators, from writers to scientists, often endured rejection, but remained grounded in their intrinsic sense of value, which fueled persistence and resilience. Developing internal self-worth involves practices like self-reflection, mindful awareness, and honest self-assessment. By recognizing personal integrity, effort, and ethical alignment as sources of value, individuals cultivate a stable sense of self that is unaffected by fluctuating external circumstances. Ultimately, self-worth, beyond achievement and approval, liberates life. It allows individuals to pursue goals authentically, contribute meaningfully, and maintain inner peace. Approval becomes a bonus, not a necessity, and life gains depth, confidence, and joy that is resilient to external change. True effectiveness arises from aligning thought, emotion, and action. When these three aspects are fragmented, life feels conflicted, inconsistent, and exhausting. Thought without emotion is cold calculation. Emotion without thought leads to impulsivity. Action without both can be chaotic. Integration creates coherence and impact. Consider leadership as an example. A leader who thinks strategically, understands the emotional context of their team, and acts decisively demonstrates influence grounded in alignment. This integration allows decisions to resonate with authenticity, integrity, and purpose. On a personal level, integration fosters well-being. Emotions are acknowledged and processed, thoughts are examined and directed, and actions flow naturally from awareness. This reduces inner conflict, impulsivity, and regret, creating a sense of harmony and confidence in daily life. Developing integration requires consistent reflection and practice. Mindfulness, journaling, and intentional planning help bridge internal experience with external behavior. Over time, alignment becomes habitual, creating a life where decisions are coherent, relationships are authentic, and energy is efficiently utilized. Ultimately, integration transforms life into an elegant flow. Thought, emotion, and action no longer pull in separate directions, but collaborate in harmony, enabling clarity, effectiveness, and meaningful participation in the world. Many people rigidly define themselves by roles, achievements, or labels. I am a student, I am shy, I am unsuccessful. These fixed identities can constrain growth, creating fear of change or failure. Recognizing identity as dynamic allows fluidity, adaptation, and personal evolution. Consistently practiced, they transform effort into mastery, potential into achievement, and intention into lived reality. Purposeful habits turn ordinary routines into extraordinary impact. Curiosity is a force that drives exploration, learning, and innovation. It is the willingness to ask questions, embrace uncertainty, and remain open to new ideas. People who nurture curiosity continue to grow intellectually, emotionally, and socially, while those who cling to certainty often stagnate. For instance, scientists, artists, and entrepreneurs often describe curiosity as their primary motivator. The desire to understand, experiment, and explore creates breakthroughs that knowledge alone cannot achieve. Curiosity turns challenges into opportunities for discovery. Curiosity also fosters adaptability. In a rapidly changing world, those willing to learn, question assumptions, and experiment thrive. By approaching life with curiosity rather than fear, setbacks become puzzles to solve rather than threats to stability. Emotionally, curiosity nurtures wonder, engagement, and resilience. It counteracts complacency and mental rigidity, keeping life vibrant and fulfilling. Simple curiosity, asking how, why, or what if, can transform mundane routines into rich learning experiences. Ultimately, curiosity is the engine of growth. It drives exploration, skill development, and self-awareness, allowing individuals to evolve continuously. Life becomes a journey of discovery rather than a static experience of routine. Reflection is the process of examining experiences, decisions, and emotions to derive meaning and insight. Without reflection, learning is shallow, mistakes are repeated, and growth slows. Deliberate reflection transforms experience into wisdom and action into intentional progress. For example, athletes review performance to improve technique, students review mistakes to strengthen understanding, and professionals analyze outcomes to refine strategy. Reflection ensures that effort becomes efficient and aligned with purpose. Psychologically, reflection strengthens self-awareness. Observing thoughts, emotions, and actions without judgment allows patterns to emerge, creating opportunities for adjustment and growth. This fosters emotional intelligence, resilience, and ethical clarity. Reflection also enhances decision-making. By reviewing past choices and outcomes, individuals anticipate consequences more accurately, act with foresight, and avoid reactive behavior. It turns experience into a roadmap for success. Ultimately, reflection is a cornerstone of personal mastery. Life becomes a continuous cycle of action, learning, and improvement. The ability to pause, observe, and integrate lessons transforms ordinary experience into intentional, purposeful growth. Every lesson we explored reminds us that life is a practice, an ongoing journey of awareness, courage, and intentional action. Each moment offers a choice to react unconsciously or to act with clarity, purpose, and integrity. Your growth is measured not by the absence of struggle, but by how you navigate challenges, integrate your thoughts and emotions, and embody your values. The more consciously you live, the more your life becomes an expression of your highest potential. Remember, fulfillment is not found externally. It is cultivated from within, through deliberate practice, reflection, and alignment of every choice with your inner purpose. Life is less about control and more about coherence. As you move forward, embrace daily acts of courage, curiosity, and resilience. Let your habits, presence, and decisions shape not just your life, but also the world around you. Influence arises naturally when you live authentically. If this journey inspired you, I invite you to subscribe, follow, or join the community where we continue exploring growth, awareness, and the art of living intentionally. Your journey matters, and your presence here is the first step toward lasting impact. Take a moment today to reflect. What small choice can you make now that aligns with your values, your growth, and your purpose? Even one conscious step creates ripples far beyond what you can see. Thank you for investing this time in yourself. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep living as the example of the life you aspire to create. Your journey is your legacy.